in an API world, right, what a developer experience means.
Yeah. See, at a high level, developer experience seems to be a qualitative term, but under the hood, it's something that is extremely tied to developers' productivity, which is a measurable entity.
Hey guys, in continuation with our discussion about how our developer experience is evolving over a period of time, and in the API space, developer experience is something that getting bigger and bigger. So today we will talk with two individuals who is a 2+ years of developer and 2 decades of a principal architect who's been in the industry for the last 20 years. Let's hear from them what the developer experience means to them. So why don't we start with the introduction? Welcome to the podcast, John.
Hi, Bharat. Thanks for having me on this podcast. So I'm in the industry for more than a couple of decades, and last couple of years I'm associated with Digital API Craft as a principal architect, enabling our enterprise clients, mostly in the space of finance and banking, in enabling their API journey and facilitating so that more APIs get onboarded into the API ecosystem.
Thank you, John. Puneet, why don't we start with a quick intro?
Thanks for having me here, Bharat. I've been a developer for around 2 years now as a UI developer, and I've been here since the past 11 months probably. So far the journey for me as a developer has been pretty incredible. Developing never has been quite a difficult journey or through this period of time where I've been working as a developer, and learning new things and going through those obstacles which I find that's been challenging so far, and I've been quite enjoying this.
Let's come back with you, John. So what it means in an API world, right? What a developer experience means.
Yeah. See, at a high level, developer experience seems to be a qualitative term, but under the hood, it's something that is extremely tied to developers' productivity, which is a measurable entity. So a good developer experience is directly proportional to the productivity. Productivity means like when an API is exposed to the consumer, how quickly they can use with minimal intervention from the API producer.
That's great. So, that's great. Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So in the when it comes to APIs, there's a huge rise of APIs. There's lots of thousands of APIs being developed at an enterprise, right? So when it comes to developer experience of APIs, where does it start and where does it end?
Yep. So it starts from the conceptual state. So who are the target audience who are going to use this API? That's a virtual starting point. And the ending phase, ideally speaking, there is no end to an API because it keeps evolving. Probably a version of an API ends, version 1 ends in a particular stage, time, but it keeps evolving to the next version as such. So knowing your customer, so the beauty of API is that it's by the developers and for the developers. So developers developing APIs for the developers. So and also one another thing that we need to keep in mind, developer community is not a monolithic single entity. The multiple personas within the developer community. Some are like rookies who are entering into the tech world. Some are experienced. Even among experienced, we can have multiple classifications. Like some have strong business domain knowledge, but weaker technical knowledge. Some have excellent tech knowledge. and but they may be new to that particular business domain. So we need to consider all these factors in when we publish an API, because just an API, publishing an API alone, because APIs don't live in a vacuum, so they live in an ecosystem. The right type of documentation to the right type of developers need to be providing them, should be provided, so that the onboarding journey is smooth. So irrespective of their experience background, the developers are able to seamlessly adapt to the API.
Okay. Yeah, I think those are great points. For right from publishing, right from discoverability, right from making, getting into the right sort of APIs is what makes developers developer experience achievable factor.
Yes.
And realizing the developer experience to its full potential.
Yeah.
Those are great points. So we are seeing that the increasing developer experience in an API marketplace products, right? API marketplace. What is an API marketplace? It's just a product where you publish APIs, you onboard developers, and you onboard external developers who will consume these APIs, and API providers can expose, can publish their APIs. So this is an API marketplace, right? So and then eventually you can monetize it. So why are the tools becoming important in an API marketplace? Maybe you can start with what kind of developer tools a third-party developer or external developer is looking in an API marketplace.
Yeah. So one of the critical things is the sandbox is an important factor, because before they go on try to use the production API, they would like to play around with what this API is all about. Okay. So what is the scope of it, and are there any prerequisites? Like I can give for the sake of discussion, an example. Like I want to use a transaction-related, banking transaction-related API, but prior to using that, I should know that as something called account API that I need to use. So the sandbox per se is an important entity which will first help them to play around with, try it out with various options, and whether the features that they are expecting in their respective mobile app or a web application or an enterprise application, is this API is able to cater to all that. So the sandbox is one of the critical piece along, right? So test, they can do a full test on it, and the beauty is also if they have 100% test coverage, they can even CI/CD pipeline, they can point to the sandbox environment. So every new release, if they are, they can have 100% test coverage of it, and if they have to build all these test scenarios on their local system, that will cost them a lot in terms of time and money. So which is abstracted by our generic sandbox. So multiple, which can cater to multiple organizations.
Your code layer.
Yes. Yeah. And which can they can subscribe to it and start using it.
You can have multiple instances for developers.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense for enterprises to invest in more tooling, well documented, so it reduces the complexity of a developer.
Yeah.
I think the complexity of a developer, that's where the finding the tools which helps reduce the complexity. I think that's where the tooling is also has to focus.
Yeah.
As more and more tools get evolved, more and more tools are also getting paid.
Yeah.
It's getting enterprise. It's not only the open source, but the tools, the tooling market itself can innovate faster.
Yeah.
So those are great points. Anything that you want to add a closing remark, as something that you did innovate with creating tooling in an API marketplace to achieve that developer experience?
Yeah. So to add to what you stated about tooling, the ecosystem defines the success of the technology. Okay. Even it is not restricted only to the API. In technology in general.
To any service.
Because if you do not provide the proper ecosystem it is going to drag down the developer productivity. And one of the things that our sandbox has, because ours is more oriented toward RESTful APIs, and the RESTful is not one umbrella term, because it has APIs have multiple maturity models, the highest being Hetios, hypermedia as the engine of application state, right? So where I make a request, and what should be my next call is based on the response that I get from the previous request. So in our generic solution that we have for financial market, where we have a framework for which addresses Hetios as well. Okay. So it's not just like within the smart smart response, we have catered to even basic get post to Hetios. Okay. So that's kind of significant.
No, I think that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Let's start with Puneet. Maybe tell us a little bit about what you do, in your current role.
So Bharat, my job role in this company would be I'm a Drupal UI developer. So I manage the interface level of any application which would be used by the customer. So I would my job would be making the experience of the customer as much easier for them to use, and make it presentable, and make it look better, and be aesthetic in the same way as possible.
So you must be using a lot of tools, right? While developing a UI, right?
Yeah.
Maybe could you name some of the tools that you use?
There are few tools. If I start with, there's an accessibility tool called Wave, which helps in accessibility, like accessibility testing for the website. And we have a browser stack, so we can test if we develop and view on a particular browser of a particular machine, then we would want to check in other machines, so that our users might be using different machines, either be Ubuntu, Safari, whatever. So we use browser stack. So that's one thing which where we can actually use that and find out if there are any issues which the user might face, and try to fix that issue from our system locally. So those would be some of the tools which I use. And coming to development, we use Webpack. It's a SaaS tool where it makes a job easier, where it converts the code to a browser understandable code, which is CSS, where we write our code in the CSS. So it makes our life much better, much easier, where it goes more organized.
So in a day, let's say on a typical day or on average, what is the amount of coding that you spend?
Pretty much.
Let's say 1/4 of the day, half a day.
It's pretty much 1/4 of the day. I think for me it's like the coding part would be considerably decent or considerably less. While the finding out a logic or finding out what approach to follow would be a much complicated task. So it might not be as simple as the solution might require for. So it might be finding the optimal solution, finding the much effective solution for that. So gather ideas and how to approach towards a particular problem, and thereby approaching that particular problem in a most effective way, and later carrying on with the coding part. So for me that process would take much time to find out more which is the effective way, and the coding part would follow on with the whatever approach I choose based on scenario.
Yeah, that's perfect. Hey Puneet, tell us about something that you achieved, that made the sense of achievement over the last 2 years. What was the most delightful moment that you can think of?
So for me, I would take a path away from the delightful moment. So for me, like the delightful moment would be if I'm stuck with a problem and I've been trying to find a solution for a long period of time, and when the moment clicks after a long time of researching and trying to work on it, and the moment clicks and you find the right solution in the most effective way,
and that's where the most delightful moment would be. So that's like the most pleasurable moment I couldn't find during the development phase.
Yeah, that's what makes developers a day, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, great. Thanks for sharing that. Okay, thanks for being coming to the podcast, Puneet. Thank
Thank you so much, Bharat, for having
Have
me
a good
here.
day. Yeah. So, John, a couple of questions. What do you see that marketplace? You just told marketplace the tooling is evolving. Developer experience in the marketplace is evolving. What is the future of it,
Okay. Yeah. So
and how it is evolving? So, my follow-up question to that.
okay. So what I see right now, current state of art developer marketplace is, as I told you earlier, that developer is no one monolithic community. You have a lot of personas, developer personas, in terms of skill level, knowledge level, experience, and etc. So right now, as long as we can provide some sort of support in terms of documentation or blog posts, helping them, various developers at various level, they can go find the appropriate articles and materials at their level. So where I am seeing the future for the API marketplace is something that is powered by artificial intelligence and machine learning. When I get into a marketplace, it determines my skill level, my requirements, and provides me where I am in the API adoption journey, where I am getting stuck, and provides the right type of help. So it's something similar to the pair programming concept in extreme programming, where a junior programmer works along with a senior one, and that senior one guides him and tests him. So it's kind of a collaborative journey. Instead of me going and figuring out the article, that it drives the API adoption journey. So if I am let's say for the discussion, I am a rookie fresh out of college, so you may have to give a lot of hand holding, okay? But if I happen to be a hotshot programmer, I don't like too much of support, okay? And even in a traditional system, you have accessibility and stuff like that, right? So there are developers who struggle with dyslexia, like reading disabilities type of stuff. So for them, giving instructions in the form of a video clips, and so in the marketplace, which drives and guides the developers, and maintains a long-lasting partnership. So that's where I see marketplaces going.
So there's a lot of collaboration and adoption, especially collaboration that's going to come into the marketplace, which is kind of not very active, collaboration that exists in an API marketplace, kind of places where the developer experiences can be much more enhanced, can be much more effective.
Yeah. And identifying the developers' velocity and guiding them.
Yeah.
So
correct. Right. So that is what enterprises are also looking at, making their API investments, realize their investments much more faster, growing that ecosystem. So one end of the equation is the internet developers, or they know that the tooling needs to evolve. As I mentioned in one of the conversation, the code always has a very limited lifetime.
Yes.
Right. The code always gets evolved, gets overwritten, gets the old code gets replaced by new one, much more efficient code, right? And then it will run in a multiple environment, multiple platform, multiple evolved runtime eventually. Like that, the marketplace, the collaboration needs to happen faster at the same pace as well.
Yes.
Yeah, I think those are great points, John. Yeah. So we heard from product manager, we heard from customer success manager, we heard from a developer, we heard from a principal architect, from a 2 years developer to 20 plus year experienced, 2 decades of coding, shared their experience about tooling, the developer's complexity, identifying the tools which will help them to identify the root cause of the problem much more faster, and also the workloads, the workflows that they have, instead of replacing a tool or a tool that will actually sit in their current workflows, is what makes realize the developer experience, realize its full potential. With that, closing remarks. Thank you for being coming to the podcast, John and Puneet.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you, Bharat.
let's get a chai.